going to be resuming this flower painting today, and I guess we're going to start with the blue rose here, and carry on with that, and then we're going to move on to this yellow rose. Maybe before the yellow rose, I might do these rosebuds. I'm not sure yet. I don't have either of those palettes laid out, so. But I do have the blue, and we're going to start there. Looking at it about a 3-hour live today. So that's just started this live. So yeah, we're going to paint for about 3 hours. We'll see how far we can get. Hopefully we'll finish this, maybe these little ones here and this rose. That would be really nice because that would just leave us with the vase afterwards. So yeah, just gonna get started immediately on this one here. So we just have, you see, working with different kinds of turquoises, and let me see, I have cobalt teal here. Oh, thank you so much, Libby. Yeah, so I got two different turquoises here. I got turquoise. They're both Williamsburg products. One's turquoise blue shade and one's turquoise green shade. And then also have this Caribbean turquoise by Michael Harding. It's a little bit of a darker value to it, and so it's just using that. I should probably put some black down on my palette too. So since the last live session, you can see that I've painted the background and the table. I haven't put any texture in the table yet, just really kind of roughed in the... oh, thank you so much. Yeah, just kind of roughed in the colors. I got the basically shadow color down here. So we'll be putting some texture in the table afterwards. Basically wood grain, I think, is probably the most appropriate thing to go with there. So this is the same paint. I haven't put any more paint out. This is the same paint that I was using on Friday's live, and that's a real advantage of oil paint, is that you can just leave it out, and you don't have to worry about it drying nearly as much as you would with acrylic. So you just put out a little bit, and then it does last. So you end up, it's when you buy oil paint, it's a little bit more expensive than acrylic, but you just need so little of it. It does so much, so it ends up being cheaper. Oh yeah, thanks for joining, Kate. Let me just move to a smaller brush and sort of have some black on this brush. I'm just gonna take care of that. Yeah, so those of you just joining and haven't seen me working with this painting yet, this painting is going to be auctioned off at a charity auction that's being held by the Bank of Montreal, which is a large bank here in Canada. was being auctioned off by the Bank of Montreal. They're sponsoring an event for the Kids Help Phone, which is a 24-hour crisis line for children. So I donated a painting for their charity auction last year, and it fetched a decent price. So they've asked me back to donate another piece. So I'll be donating 100% of the proceeds. I'm not taking any commission. This is free work, obviously for a good cause. So I'll be donating this piece to that auction. And hopefully some children in need can use that crisis line and get the help that they need. It's a very worthy charity. Would this be considered still life? Yes. Yeah, it's considered still life. Yeah, still life. The tradition of still life, it doesn't have to be flowers, but it's typically things arranged, usually on a table, and it doesn't have to be, but I think the common element with still life, as opposed to just a regular figurative scene, is that things have been arranged, maybe artificially. That's kind of the idea. When you talk about classifying paintings into different categories, the first level that you would want to sort of classify is the painting abstract or is it figurative? And figurative means that there are literally that there are figures in it, so that there are recognizable objects that have references in the real world, whereas a purely abstract painting would be something that has no reference to the real world. It's strictly forms and shapes and textures. If it's mostly forms and shapes and textures, but you can kind of make something out, like a horse or a apple or something, then it's not a true abstract painting. What you would actually call that would be an abstracted figurative painting. For true abstraction, you need to not have any outside reference. So that's there's quite a fascinating history of the development of abstract art, and if you're interested in that, I would recommend checking out that period in our history. It's really interesting stuff. History of, there's basically this art critic in New York City in the 60s, a guy named Clement Greenberg. Third rose is going to be yellow, so I'm going with very loosely primaries. This sort of red. I'm going to add some magenta in the deeper areas once it dries, and this is kind of in that blue-green range, turquoises and cyans and so on. And this is going to be yellows. So the concept, because it's for the Kids Help Phone, basically my concept is that you have roses and you have rose buds. So obviously the rose bud is a younger version of the rose. And the roses are going to be in primary color. So that's kind of saying, hey, from those three colors, all colors can come. Again, just a an earlier version of a mixed color would be separating it out its primaries. So conceptually, I'm saying you start with the primaries and you start with rosebuds, and then given nurturing and the right environment and a non-toxic environment and so on, then these things will flourish into the roses that they're meant to become. So that, that way it's quite metaphorical, just as, I think children, given the right environment, can flourish and achieve great things, but that becomes much more difficult when they have challenging upbringings. So Kids Help Phone is one of those ways that children in need, whether it's they're suffering from mental or physical or emotional abuse or anything along those lines, they can get some assistance. So yeah, very happy to participate in that charity again. So I'm just, I have this Caribbean turquoise by Michael Harding that is, it's quite dark in value. So just kind of going around some of these lines, deepening the parts of the rose that are in shadow. It's going to give it the rose a little bit more depth. Yeah, the last flower is going to be yellow, different yellows. So the idea is the primaries. So that's what I'm going to be going with. Can I teach you how to paint? Yeah, I'm trying. I have a YouTube and I have a TikTok. So I have drawing and painting lessons for free on those two platforms. Color the last flower yellow. Yeah, come back in an hour and a half. This is a 3-hour live, and I'm going to be finishing this one first. So just check back later. This is for some collector at that charity auction is going to be paying rather a lot of money for this. So I certainly don't want to rush for the sake of views. So yeah, just check back later if you're feeling that. For the highlight here, I'm using cobalt teal, which is quite a light color. It actually has a lot of titanium white mixed into it. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, thank you. This is cobalt teal here that I'm using as this highlight color. It kind of fades down. Yeah, DJ Kokoi. So you're saying that you can draw, but when it comes to coloring using a brush, so yeah, that's because they're very different kinds of art, and each drawing and painting are very different things. So each of them requires a lot of practice and study. So if you are used to practicing drawing, then you're probably decent at it. And if you haven't really painted before, then that's just how it goes. They're very different. So it's like, just because you're good at drawing, that doesn't mean you're going to be good at painting, or sculpture or photography. But a lot of the fundamentals of art are actually drawing concepts, like balance, primary and secondary contour, just how to compose an image. You use those same concepts in all kinds of things: photography, printmaking, painting, sculpture. So those are basic drawing concepts. I think drawing's probably the most important art discipline. If you can master drawing, or at least the formal concepts of drawing that I just outlined, then you'll be well set up to study the other ones successfully, if need be. What am I painting on? Yeah, this is a wooden panel. It's a composite board. So you can just pick them up at any art store. I'll show you what it looks like from this side. It's just a composite board, and then they come pre-gessoed with white gesso. Then what I do is I gesso it again with black gesso to give it this. It's not exactly black, the black gesso. It's like a dark gray, but that helps me make value judgments a lot more easily. Yeah, good evening, Adam. Yeah, the pattern on the vase doesn't say anything. It's there's going to be a Delft porcelain, and this is a flower. It's going to come. So this one's going to go kind of up this way, and there's the flower, some petals, and then these are just kind of little buds, little blossoms, and then there's another large flower here. This yellow rose is going to come. This is a petal of the yellow rose, as is this. So the vase, and then this is kind of a blue stripe, and the vase is white. I haven't put any of the textures in yet, but yeah, that's where we're at so far. Oh, thanks very much. So I'm just adding a little bit of titanium white now to this cobalt blue for the kind of extreme highlights. Just little touches here and there to bring out the... Actually, that was... Yeah, just little touches of white will, I don't know, almost imply texture. Oh, yeah, imply texture, I guess, would be fair to say. So... And this one here as well. Let's kind of bring it around. You pay an absurd amount of money for that to be hung in my room. Well, it's going on auction. This is going to be auctioned off at the Bank of Montreal Kids Help Phone charity in April. You can check my Instagram for updates about, or just go to Kids Help Phone. I'm sure their webpage. But yeah, it's gonna be auctioned off, and I don't know what it's gonna go for, but hopefully it goes for a large amount so that it can help kids in need. Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, this is an oil painting. Yeah. Hard to believe it's February already. Seems like this year's going very quickly. I don't know if anyone else feels that same way. Do I have any animals? No, I don't. Why not? Because my 3-year-old is a handful. I think it's a personal choice to have animals. And they are, I think if you're going to have an animal, you need to have the right kind of, and the right level of attention needs to be paid to that animal. You see, especially the people living in a big city have animals and they don't spend the kind of time they need to be spending with them. So I think if you're going to have an animal, you need to be willing to spend a lot of time with it to take care of it. Okay, getting ready to move on to another part here. I'm just going to finish that section up there. Yeah, so that's it for the cobalt teal and cobalt turquoise. Now, if you do like cobalt turquoise, it's it's somewhere between green and blue. But there's just that one paint manufacturer called Williamsburg, and they're originally out of Williamsburg, Brooklyn, and they've been, I think, bought out now by Golden Acrylics. Bought them, but they make two different kinds of cobalt turquoise. So I do recommend getting both of them, because if you're a painter, because they are quite different. I'll show you what they look like. So yeah, cobalt turquoise green shade, or greenish, and then cobalt turquoise blue shade. But you can see how different they are. So it's nice to go cobalt teal and then to the turquoise green and then to the turquoise blue as an analogous color palette. I should do a video of me drawing a horse. I have a tutorial on how to draw a unicorn, so you could check that out, and then just don't draw the horn, and then you'll have a horse. Yeah, I've drawn and painted horses before, and I've done it as a commission. I did a horse commission once. And how was it? Yeah, it was a successful commission. Horse is your favorite animal? Yeah, I think I guessed that from your username. Okay, so that's, I think, a good spot to leave that blue rose. So now I'm gonna, maybe I should go for the petals. No, I'll go for the yellow rose next. So we're gonna need a number of different yellows for this yellow rose. I'm just gonna clean my brush and then start considering. So when you paint a rose of a certain color, you can't just obviously choose one yellow. I'm gonna need a bunch of different colors in that yellow rose. So I'm gonna choose an analogous color palette, and what that means is that take a chunk of the color wheel, take a chunk of it, and so I'll take yellow and then I'll move kind of around the color wheel, choosing a bunch of different yellows. So we're gonna go, Hansa yellow is transparent. You know, this is Hansa yellow. That's a transparent yellow, and that's not something we want for this painting, just because we have a black background as well. We don't want any of that black necessarily coming through. That would green the yellows, the black background coming through. So we're going to avoid the Hansa and go to the cadmium. And I will show you what I'm thinking about here. So we're going to go with cadmium yellow light for highlights, yellow medium as kind of the obviously medium tone, and then cadmium yellow deep. And then for the kind of extreme highlights, we're going to go with this color Gamblin makes called radiant yellow. It's actually just cadmium yellow light with titanium white mixed in. You know, so you can easily make this one. You don't need to buy this one. So we're going to go with that, and then this is not going to be dark enough for some of the darkest areas, so we're going to go with a little bit of alizarin crimson, and that's going to orange. It's going to kind of orange up this yellow a little bit, but for the darkest shade parts, that's going to be fine. Okay, so that's the plan. I'm going to probably start with the darkest areas first. You know, right in there. Maybe down. As these leaves are kind of rounding, it's going to be here. Under here, this is kind of the main bulb, and then under here. So I'll put those dark areas in first, and then kind of work lighter. You can do it either way. You can start in the middle and then go lighter and darker. From there, you can start light. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is oil paint. Yeah. This company, Gamblin, is... yeah, thanks for the questions, Crazy Horse. I think I'm going to keep the chat to painting and art-related stuff. So if you have any questions about painting or the art world or anything like that, yeah, please do feel free to ask those in the chat. But I think I'm going to keep it kind of on topic. So let's start with the darker areas. So it's going to be in here, here, kind of create that roundedness. So I'm adding this alizarin crimson to the cadmium yellow deep. It's going to kind of dull it, but also get a little bit darker. Why are there lines on the black part? On these lines here, that's my underdrawing. And that's kind of how I know where to paint. It's probably not quite even dark enough, so I think I'll have to bring in something a little darker and darker reds and so on. Yeah, this is an oil painting. Yeah, this is an oil painting. That might not be dark enough, but it's okay for now. What's going to happen is I can always darken it up afterwards. I don't want to go too dark this early. Is it going to be green? No, it's going to be yellows. Yeah, this one's going to be yellow. Please say hi. Hey, how you doing, CDG? I guess I still have a little bit of blue on my brush. I'll just take care of that right now. This is kind of a dangerous area, being colorblind, when you have blue on your brush and you're trying to paint something yellow. It's a really good way to paint a green thing without knowing you're painting green. So that's okay. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. This is cadmium yellow deep. When I add that radiant yellow, it's going to be really vibrant. You'll be quite surprised. You love drawing, but you're horrible at it. Yeah, that's everyone's there at some point. It's just a matter of practice. And, just keep at it. You won't be horrible for long. You have to just practice and reflect on your drawings and figure out what worked and what didn't work, where you can improve, and then you try to improve. It's like anything else. Some people might have more of a natural talent, but that doesn't really count for much. It's really overrated. What matters the most with drawing is a willingness to learn and consistency. Draw every day if you can, even if it's 10 or 15 minutes a day. And that kind of dedication will really pay off. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so this is cadmium yellow deep, which is quite an orange facing yellow. But what we're going to see in a few moments is cadmium yellow medium. So now I have that line there already painted. I'll just paint this one first, and then I can blend the two together. And it's going to kind of round that shape off. You'll see how this works. So doing blending right on the canvas or panel has a name. It's a specific technique that's called alla prima. So if you are a fan of oil painting and you don't want to wait to do a glazing style, then you can try alla prima. It's personally my favorite technique to do because you see results immediately. How long you master the arts? It takes a lifetime to master them. So I've only been painting for 7 years. What's my favorite color? My favorite color to paint with is dioxazine purple, I'll probably say, because it comes out of the tube. I'm just gonna touch up this area here. It comes out of the tube very dark. It's almost black out of the tube, but you can tint with it, that means adding white. And all of the different tints are just beautiful, just really amazing tints. So I think my last TikTok video was about tinting and shading. What's the biggest competition I've joined in? Probably the BP Portrait Award. They don't have it anymore, but the National Portrait Gallery of London, of England, it's in London. It's right in Trafalgar Square, or just off anyway. It's right behind the National Gallery. Once a year they would have British Petroleum would put on an award competition called the BP Portrait Award, and it was open to artists from around the world. You had to pay an entry fee, but and then the winner would get. I mean, the prizes were insane, like £15,000, something along those lines, and yeah, it was very prestigious. And then the whole exhibition would go on tour, and you'd get a show at the National Portrait Gallery and so on. So it's definitely the biggest competition I've ever joined. I didn't win, didn't even come close to winning. But that's the biggest competition I've ever participated in, tried to win. The artists that enter that competition are, the 2,000 or 1,000 or 2,000, however many enter it, are the best portrait painters in the world. People that paint portraits for a living. There's some extreme talent there. So yeah, that's the biggest competition I've ever joined. So I'm just kind of creating that rounding by blending the shape across. This is going to be quite a bright petal here. Oh, thank you very much. Does that boost your clients after that? I'm not sure what that means. Like, if as an artist, if you win a competition, it's that is good for your collectors, because not everyone buys your art because they love it. Some people buy your art because they're investing, and they're hoping to sell it down the line. So if somebody's in that position and they bought something because they want to sell it afterwards, then any time an artist wins an award or enters a prestigious competition, signs with a prestigious gallery, anything like that, would increase that person's investment, whatever it is. So, but hopefully collectors aren't doing too much of that. Hopefully they're buying the art because they like the art. That's kind of the ideal. But you can't screen for that. How long have I been drawing? Yeah, so how long have I been drawing and how long have I been painting are very different answers. I've been drawing, I guess, my whole life, like since I was a kid, 11, 12 years old, I guess, something like that. Seriously, like obsessively. Obviously, all kids draw to some degree, but I always drew. My notes all through school, and my all through university, my notes, taking notes, no matter what class I was in, I was drawing on my notes. I've just kind of always drawn. And I've painted. I did a painting degree in university, but then I didn't do anything with it for many years. And then I've been painting for 6 years. Professionally, like showing in galleries and that sort of thing. Who's your famous client? I don't know. I don't know a lot of the people who buy my work. I don't know who they are because they buy it through one of the galleries that represents me. So I had a client lives in London, England, who commissioned me to do a really large painting, and I don't know who it is, but he had a gallery hire my gallery to hire me. So it was a pretty involved process, but I don't know who that is. They needed to be anonymous, so that's probably. But I don't know the name of him or her. Oh, thank you. Who's my favorite artist? That's a tough one. It's always difficult to try to pick just one artist. Right now, if I could have probably my favorite artist to look at their work might be Jenny Saville. She's still painting. She's probably in her 60s now. But she kind of rose to prominence in the 90s with the young British artist movement. She might be in her 50s. She lives in Oxford, England. But she's represented by Pace Gallery in New York City, among others. But she paints, I guess you'd have to call them monumental size paintings. One of the best examples of telling a story through your painting. You can see the whole development of the piece, almost like watching the history of her thinking through the development, the composition. It's really incredible. Lucian Freud. I haven't seen people paint skin the way he painted skin. It's really amazing. Obviously, the classics. Francis Bacon is just incredible. What brushes am I using? This is just a number 6 Filbert. And, I don't know. It's kind of a non-brand. It's like an Amazon kind of brush. I never really got into investing in good brushes. It's from art school. I had extremely limited resources, you could say, in art school, and I sunk all of my available resources into my paints. So I didn't have much left for my brushes, and then I just kind of got used to painting with non-stellar brushes. I haven't ever really kind of kicked that habit. I'm just kind of blending these together. This is that cadmium deep, blending with the cadmium medium. Yeah, I guess so, eh? And those aren't the only choices. I think probably better to use a good brush would be the best of the four choices, but I think part of it too is that there's when you have a very expensive brush, like one of these, $200 red sable, or one of these extremely expensive brushes, I think you'd probably feel a little nervous about ruining it. I would. So when you have $2 brushes, you probably don't feel as nervous. Yeah, exactly. Infinite Pile's right on there. With watercolor, there are very few allowances you can make. The brush has to be good. The paper has to be good. It's all very important. With acrylic, you can paint on cardboard. With oil, it's not as forgiving as acrylic. But well, if you gesso, it's fine. But yeah, watercolor is difficult. What type of paint am I using? What brand of paint do I prefer? Yeah, I actually have a YouTube video on all of the different kinds of paint that I recommend for different price points and for different purposes. But to sum it up, if you're not concerned about budget and you're interested in painting with a professional grade oil paint, then my strong recommendation is for Michael Harding, and followed very closely by Old Holland. And then I would say Williamsburg is in the mix, but a distant third. It's kind of in that same category as Winsor Newton and those other. I think Gamblin is probably the best. If you're not going to paint with Michael Harding or Old Holland, then you should get Gamblin, just because it's a very good value for Gamblin paint. And then, let's say for student grade, Winton or Gamblin 1980. Okay. It's kind of over here. Not exactly sure if the red is dry yet, so that is cadmium, and it does take a while for cadmium to dry. We should know when you're painting, would paint with you. Yeah. I put out one of those notices. I guess TikTok, you can say when you're going live. I did that this time, but generally speaking, I'm going to try to go live on Fridays from 6 p.m. Eastern time. That's -5 UTC, from 6 until 9. and then maybe one other time per week. I think Tuesday seems to be good. So I'll be going 6 to 9. That's another 2 hours on this session. So yeah, I think 2 lives a week. It's because I don't have any shows coming up. I don't have any painting shows coming up. I have a photography show. Well, it's more like digital photography. Like I have photographs that I heavily I drop into Photoshop, and then I basically paint on top of them, create my own images. So I have a show coming up in New York and at the end of March at the Affordable Art Fair with Treat Gallery. And so I'm just kind of finishing the last piece on that one now, and that'll be 5 different pieces. What's my favorite style of art? Painting, yeah, for sure. What paint is that? This is oil paint. Yeah, this one takes, to dry, it'll take, I'm not using a lot of solvent or anything like that, so it'll take at least 2 days, probably 3 days to dry fully. The parts with cadmium will take a little bit longer, maybe 3 or 4 days. Where did I learn to paint so delicately? I just developed it, I guess. It's just I've tried painting a lot of different ways. This is the kind of the way that feels most natural or most comfortable for me. I've painted abstractly. I've painted a lot of portraiture, landscapes. Like this is one of my paintings here, quite abstract. I have lots of different ways and styles that I've painted. This leaf, this petal here, I have to kind of make it round down like that. So that's why, and I only have a few different yellows to do that. So basically the thinking or the way you can do it is lighter objects. So basically objects with a higher value, what you'd say, they appear toward you, and darker goes away, so that you can kind of manipulate light and dark that way to figure out what comes forward and what goes backwards. So I'm trying to think about the form here. I have a few different colors that I'm working with, so I have to keep, anytime there's a shift in the plane, I also have to shift either the value or the hue. And since I'm only using 3 different hues, it's mostly value shifts that I'm doing here. What color am I blending with the yellow? Yeah, so I have 3 different yellows. at play. I'm going this way. So right now I'm using Cad Yellow Deep, which is more on the orange side. It's like halfway between Cad Yellow and Cad Orange, basically. Cad Medium for the midtones, and then Cad Yellow Light for the highlights. And then I'm going to be adding Titanium White to this for the extreme highlights. And then for the darkest areas down here, I have a alizarin crimson mixed with a little bit of black. Black by itself won't work because it'll turn the yellow green. So I have a little bit of that alizarin crimson, which is kind of the opposite of green, to keep that black from turning the yellows green. So that's what I'm going with for those darkest areas. Yeah, there you go. Oh, thank you. If you are interested in trying to paint yourself, if you're interested in starting to paint, please do check out my YouTube channel. I have a lot of videos on there for people who are looking to start painting. You know, what do you get, canvas or paper or panels? What kind of brushes do you get? You know, what's the difference between an angled brush or a flat brush or a bright or a filbert or a fan? When do you use them? Those kinds of things are the kinds of things that I get into in my YouTube channel. So do check that out if you're interested at all in learning how to paint. I also talk about color theory and different dimensions of color, hue and value. I haven't done chroma yet, but that's coming up. So, what's my favorite color to blend? I like blending colors that have a nice range of value. So, I really like dark colors, like dioxazine purple and sap green, magenta. Because when you add white to those, and when you tint them, you can get a nice full range. Really like that. Okay, bye-bye, Crazy Horse. Yeah, thanks, Infinite Pile. Yeah, all of my social media is my same name. It's Mark Liam Smith for everything, for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, the whole thing. Oh, thank you. I'm making some decent progress. We've been live streaming now for just over an hour, and I have about 2 hours left on this live. So I think we're probably in a good position to get the yellow rose finished. Maybe get a start on the vase. We shall see. Okay. Go back over here. Why the primary colors? Yeah, so this painting is going to be auctioned off at the Bank of Montreal Kids Help Phone charity auction in April. So I'm going with the primaries to, it's basically a metaphor that these are the colors that all of the other colors start from. It's like, so with the kids, because it's for Kids Help Phone, you'd say that we all kind of start with the same, it's like primaries, and then what colors we end up. That's the mix that we have experienced from all of our, experiences, our upbringing, and all of the things that happened to us. So the fact that this is going for Kids Help Phone, I wanted to talk a little bit about how kids are impacted. I'm just adding some textures here while the paint is still wet. I don't know if you can see that or not. Yeah, this is oils. See, I've just added some little lines. That's just cadmium yellow deep. This one back here is going to have to be a little bit darker because there's another petal right in front of it in the same direction. So I have to somehow separate those two. I'll make that one darker and that one lighter. darker colors always recede. So. Probably like this. I'd just like to thank those of you who are tapping the screen and sending likes. I think we're at 12.1 thousand likes already, so thank you very much. That is much appreciated. Okay. I have another one right here. That one, this petal might seem a little dark, but it'll be fine once I get the other one right in front of it. Where's the white rose? It's on the other side. It's behind these ones. Bring that color a little bit closer to this one. Doesn't need to be quite so far. What an excuse. Where do you think it is? Of course it's behind. That's how I planned it all along. So this is cadmium yellow medium here, blending it in with this cadmium yellow light on the highlights, and then also blend it with that cadmium yellow deep for the lowlights. It's one of the advantages of using an analogous color palette. You don't have to worry about muddying your colors because all the colors are on the same side of the color wheel. Thank you. going to keep pushing on with this cadmium yellow medium. Nice medium yellow. We can go lighter or darker from there. Yeah, this is wood. This is a wooden panel. Yeah, I paint on panel for a lot of my smaller works. It's larger works that I paint on canvas. But most of the smaller work is on panel now. I just found myself, when I was painting on smaller canvases, I found myself gessoing 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 times to try to get it to a certain level of smoothness. But it's like, well, you can achieve the same thing with panel very easily. So yeah, it's pretty smooth. It's nice to paint on. I like painting on panel. And it's not like you're just getting a piece of wood. It's, it's specifically designed for art. It comes primed. But I do put on another layer of gesso, even though it already comes primed. So it ends up getting 2 layers. And if I, not always, but sometimes I sand between layers. I should probably do that all the time. And that's a great way to get it even smoother. Oh, thank you very much. So much appreciated. Just going to drop in some lines here, paint against the grain a bit. Okay, so that petal finished. I'll just keep plugging along. So I have, for these darker parts of the yellow flower, I've taken just a little bit of black, and but I've mixed some alizarin crimson in with that black. And the reason why I've done that is that when you have black and you mix it with yellow, you're going to get a green. So by mixing some alizarin crimson in with that black, what I end up doing is pulling it away from the green and kind of staying inside that warm zone, which is where I want to be. Stay on the yellow. You can go cool or warm with yellow. The cool yellows would be something like a cadmium yellow lemon, and then warm yellows would be cadmium yellow. Warm yellows are yellows that push toward orange, and cool yellows are yellows that push toward green. And if you want to keep your colors vibrant, it's always important to know what temperature your colors are. Thank you so much for the ice cream cones, Jody Miles. That is very much appreciated. And thank you to everyone who has given gifts and roses and tapping the screen and giving likes and showing your support in various different ways. That maybe a little bit brighter on this side here. Okay, something like that. Is this acrylic paint? No, it's just an oil painting. But I'm painting alla prima, which is a technique that you often see with acrylic paint. So that could be why you're thinking of acrylic. I think some people, when they think oil, they just think glazing, endless transparent layers. But and that's certainly one valid way to paint with oil, but it's not the only way. You don't have to spend years and years and years doing an oil painting. You can get one done in not too much time at all. It's going to blend these two colors in together now. Start by filling in the gap and then bring some of that dark into the lighter zone and some of the light into the darker zone. Letting my brush do most of the work here. Just thinking about the direction of the petals. Like that. Something like that. I'll move on to this one now. I'm just going to put a little bit of highlight here. Just because it's going to go this way and then down, so I want to just show that. Yeah, something like that. And then also here too, put a little bit more of a highlight on this side. Yellow is quite difficult to paint with because the tonal range is so narrow. It has the lightest value of all the colors. Lightest inherent value. When you decrease the value, you start getting into umbers, and well, that's more oranges that do that. But yeah, the yellows, you really can't get too dark with yellow. Colors of the buds set yet? Yeah, I was just thinking kind of normal buds, greens, probably bright green lake, chromium oxide for the darker parts. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Just because the colors of the roses are that's there's sort of the main thing is, playing with the color of these roses, that they're the primaries, and that's supposed to kind of set you off to think about why are they the primary colors, and then that's where you kind of get into the because those are the colors that make the other colors, and then hopefully that points to this idea that we're all very similar. The younger we are, the more similar we are before we get all of those experiences of life. So in terms of the kids' help phone, it's kind of what I was thinking about there. But yeah, I don't know is there something in particular you're maybe thinking that green would be the ideal color there? And if not, what color would you think might work better for the concept? Into the flower inside, yeah, that's a good point. So if there maybe some of the end kind of trail, so we might see some other colors in there. Thank you, that's an excellent point. I'm going to incorporate that into the work. For those of you who do like my work and are interested in having it hang in your home, I do have over 40 of my paintings available now as prints. So you can, if you're interested in picking up a print, they are available in my online store. There's a link in the bio, or you could just go to markliamsmith.com. And yeah, thank you for your support if you end up going ahead and picking something up. Are there any green leaves at the bottom? No, it's going to be straight into the white vase, white and blue vase, or vase, as you might say. I think in Canada we can say either one. We can also say either one. As Canadians, we haven't quite figured out if we say either or either, so we say both. Same thing with vase and vase. I think mostly vase. People say vase. WTH is that? It's a painting. It's an oil painting of 3 roses. Yeah, color. In Canada, we say OUR for sure. That's the accepted Canadian way. I usually spell it just OR though. Just because most of my wife is American, my son is American. Well, he's both. He's American and Canadian. Yeah, I guess I spell it both ways. On the fence that way. how long have I been painting professionally? I've been painting professionally for just over 6 years. It'll be 7 years in December, so coming up on 7 years. And I got my first representation in 2016. Yeah, 2016. So it was about a year after I started. And I started painting and having group shows, and applying to open calls, and just trying to get my work out there. I also did something called Art Battle, which was a live painting competition where you had 20 minutes to produce a painting, and had to go against 7 other people, and then the audience voted, and if you advanced to the next round, then like there were different rounds, and there's this elimination style thing. So there's a DJ and the music's blaring, and yeah, it's very, very, very not a studio environment. Yeah, so I did that when I first started, and I won. As a matter of fact, that was one of the breaks that I had. I won Art Battle, and the local newspaper, it's called the Toronto Star, happened to be covering the event, so I got in the newspaper on the front of the arts section. So that was kind of a nice opportunity. I got some coverage. So that was in January of 2016. No, sorry, that was in January 2015. Yeah. Where did my wife learn French? She's half French. She's half French Canadian. So she grew up speaking French in the home. And that's why my son only speaks French to her and English to me. So he's completely fluent. In both. I mean, as fluent as a 3-year-old can be. Can I show my palette? Yeah, for sure. So this is, it's called Radiant Yellow. It's basically just cadmium yellow light with titanium white. This is cadmium yellow light, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow deep, and then this is that kind of blend of alizarin crimson, which is here, and a little bit of black. And then I've mixed it with the cadmium yellow deep. That's what I'm using for my shadow color. Oops, I guess I was back here, wasn't I? You've painted with acrylics before, but never with oil. Yeah, well, if you have painted with acrylics, the part of acrylic, there's a kind of way to a paint with acrylics that is very much like painting with oil. So if you like blending with acrylics, then you're going to love oil. If you're not that big of a fan of blending, then you probably could stick with acrylics. But with oils, you just buy yourself so much more time to blend. You also don't waste as much paint either. It's kind of a big deal. So with acrylics, it's just always drying on your palette, and you feel rushed. So yeah, if blending is your thing, then you really should consider switching. It's much easier. Paint on cookies. Yeah, that'll be fun. At least you get to eat your work. I can't eat my work. It wouldn't last very long if I did. I'm just kind of wandering into the center of the rose now. Just putting down some of these darker areas. The darker areas are going to be areas that are kind of rolling away from the light, but also areas that are in shadow because of the position of other petals. So this is how I'm going to be able to create depth and also change of planes. When the flower changes direction, I have to change something. I can change the hue or I can change the value. But if you don't change those things, then it's very difficult to achieve a reasonable illusion. You invited me. That must be the app. I think it just sends out invitations. That's not something that I control. But thank you for coming anyway. Do I make a case for magenta being a primary color? Yeah, I do. So there are two different systems. There's the system, it's called the additive system, and then there's a system called the subtractive system. And in the subtractive system, that's the system that's used in printing. Magenta is a primary along with yellow and cyan. And in the additive system, magenta is not a primary. The primaries are red and blue and yellow. But I actually use neither of those two systems, each with 3 primaries and 3 secondaries. Instead, I kind of think about them as 12 primaries is kind of the way I've been thinking about it lately. So the 12 primaries, and the reason why I think about 12 primaries is that, let's say red and yellow. So you mix your red and your yellow, your best ones to get an orange, right? Secondary color. That orange that's produced as a mixture of red and yellow will never be as saturated. The chroma will never be as high as say cadmium yellow right from the tube. Whenever you mix two colors, I'm going to say it again. Whenever you mix two colors together, the chroma of that mixture is never as high as that color directly from the tube. So I, instead of trying to mix secondary colors, I just think about the secondary colors as also as primaries, and have I have 12. I'll show you what they are here. So these are all the same color wheel. I just have a different dominant inside. This is kind of a giant color chart. But yeah, so my 12 primaries that I look at are yellow, orange, red, rose, that's quinacridone rose, magenta, violet, indigo, blue, aqua, cyan, green. So, and then if I have those as my 12 that are right from the tube, then all of the things in between that and that, there's that little range there. This way I can keep my chroma really high. And then so how I read this chart is that, this here's blue, and when I mix blue and yellow, I get that color. Blue and orange, I get that color. Blue and red, I get that color. Blue and rose is that. And then here is aqua mixed with all of 12. This is cyan mixed with all 12. Here's chromium oxide green mixed with all 12. And so I have, full, all 12 of my primaries. So is a quick reference there. Is that art? It really... You did that? Yeah, I'm painting this right now. Okay, so back to, I don't know where I was, maybe this one? Yeah, thanks. Yeah, if you have questions about this medium, please do feel free to ask them in the chat. I'm sure if you're wondering about something, other people are too. I'm happy to share what I do know. For more in-depth analyses, please do check out my YouTube channel. I have it's basically designed for people new to painting. So I go through brush types, oil, and what makes it, how to choose, all different things. Just anything you might want to know about learning oil painting. So that's my YouTube channel. It's also Mark Liam Smith, same as my TikTok name. But yeah, check that out if you're interested. Looks like a table. Yeah, I haven't put the wood grain in yet. It's just the two colors. Do I use alternate brushes, tools, scrapers, and such? Yeah, I use a nail if I'm painting fur. I have it around here somewhere. Here it is. So when I paint fur, I have this little nail. Here you can see that I've just taped to the back of a paintbrush, and then I'll scrape fur, and then I also use this for the wood grain as well. So that's kind of an alternate brush or a different kind of tool. Other than that, though, I'm pretty standard with my brush selection. I think I've painted this whole thing with two brushes so far. This number 6 filbert, and then I have this little number 4 round. So these two brushes are what I've painted this whole painting with so far, and I don't think that's going to change. Why can't everyone do that? Well, people choose to spend their time in different ways. I mean, anyone can learn how to paint, but it takes a lot of time. So, I think it takes a lot of time to learn any skill well. But yeah, anyone can. And I'm doing my best to demystify the process by showing my process anyway, and also talking about painting and teaching painting on TikTok and YouTube. And trying to help people realize that painting isn't this hard, mysterious thing. It's something that is achievable. I think painting's kind of been romanticized too much. This idea that you either have it or you don't. You have a gift. I don't really like that idea that people have a gift, because for one thing, if painting doesn't come easily, then you might think you don't have a gift, and then you might give up. But it's something that you can learn with dedication and perseverance and practice. That's one reason, and then the other reason is to say somebody has a gift undermines all of the hard work and effort and learning and practice that they themselves have probably put into it. It just undermines it. Says, "Oh, you got that for free." So yeah, I don't really go for that idea so much. How do you get rid of the gloss over the painting? Well, it's oil painting, so it'll dry, and then after it dries completely, I'm going to then varnish it to give it an even sheen. Yeah, I agree with that. Why creative? That people, you do have to be dedicated to put in the time that it takes to cultivate this. So, but I think that's achievable. I think it's completely attainable if people want it. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, of course you can learn. Anyone can learn. You have to want to learn more than you want to watch Netflix or surf the internet or scroll on TikTok for 3 hours, you know. But it's like anything. It's like any skill, I think. So for those of you just joining, this painting is an oil painting that is going to be auctioned off in April at this year's Bank of Montreal Kids Help Phone charity auction. So that's a charity auction that's put on by the Bank of Montreal in support of, there's a 24-hour crisis line that we have in Canada called Kids Help Phone. So this, I participated in the auction last year, and so they've asked me back to donate a piece, which is this piece. So I'll be donating this. 100% of the value will be put toward the Kids Help Phone. I'm not taking a cut. Some artists have the option of taking a cut for different charities. But for this one, for Kids Help Phone, it's 100% of the art is donated. So yeah, a worthy cause, I think. A worthy charity. Just making this part a little bit brighter so I can kind of round it off a bit. Yeah, flowers are fun. Flowers are fun to paint. Am I almost done? Well, I have the 4 buds to paint, and then I have the vase to paint, so not almost. Probably 2 more sessions. Thank you for the hand hearts. Much appreciated. Oh, thank you. If you are interested in my art, by the way, I do have prints available in my online shop. And I also have originals available if you're into those are available through the galleries that represent me, but the prints are available through my online shop, and they start at $25. So I have over 40 different paintings that I've made into prints. So yeah, you could check that out if you like. There's a link in my bio, or you could go to markliamsmith.com to check it out. Thank you for those of you who do go and check it out and support me by buying a print or a t-shirt. It's cadmium yellow, medium. And then I'm going darker with cadmium yellow deep and lighter with cadmium yellow light. And then for the really dark areas, I'm mixing a little bit of black with the cadmium yellow deep, but not just black. And the reason I have black and alizarin crimson mixed together, and then I'm mixing that with the cadmium yellow deep. And the reason why I'm not going with just straight black is that yellow and black make green, and and that's a cool color. So I don't want any cool colors here. I just want warm colors. So by mixing some alizarin crimson in with the black, I kind of kill how much green, well, it's actually cyan, how much cyan is in that black, and then make I'm able to keep it on the warm side. So yeah, I don't know if those of you who are watching have ever heard me say, probably some have, but black is a cool color, and that's because it's when you mix black, it's mixed with it's 50% cyan and 30% magenta and 20% primary yellow. And when you mix all of those together, you get black. It's called a chromatic black if you mix it yourself, if you don't use it from the tube. And so with that much cyan, it's fundamentally a cool color. It's fundamentally a blue, or technically a cyan. So when you think about temperature, when you're adding, that's why a lot of art teachers will say don't add black to create shadows, because black is a cool color, and if you add cool colors to warm colors to create your shadows, you're going to kind of mess up your saturation levels. And sometimes you want to decrease your saturation, you decrease your chroma. Like if you're painting skin tones, for example, skin tones have very, very low chroma. All skin complexions are basically desaturated orange. Oh, thank you so much. Carrie Atari, thank you for checking out the shop. An iris and an apple. Oh yeah, I painted that one actually on TikTok. I painted that one live on TikTok. All of those the paintings are in a show right now in Montreal. My solo show. It's going on until February 19th. Yeah, so that painting show will end February 19th. I have a photography show in New York for the Affordable Art Fair, and that's at the end of March. Yeah, virtual tours. I think the gallery sometimes does these 3D tours, virtual tours. So I'm not sure if they did one for my show, but I have done them in the past. If you're interested, that sometimes they also kind of walk you through. Okay. I think I might have to go with my smaller brush for in a moment or two here. Kind of running out of room for this number 6. There is a virtual tour on the gallery website. Oh, okay. Thanks, Adam. Thanks for confirming that. So that's all. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he's got a wonderful new space. I think my show is the 3rd or 4th show. Maybe the 3rd show in the new space. So yeah, he's got a lot more room. Kind of has a little side room, a project room for new artists. Yeah, it's really great. His gallery just won the Time Out Magazine's Gallery of the Year for Montreal. So Yeah, he's doing really well for himself. That's that's Gallery Youn, Youn, by the way, for those of you who are interested. Gonna go with that radiant yellow just across this section here to try to separate it a little bit. Something like that. Oh, thank you very much. Get a little bit darker here, right at the center. So I'm going with that crimson and black combo. Oh, thank you for the rose. Yeah, hello. Yeah, thank you everyone for tapping the screen and liking, and I think we're at 17,000 likes now, so that's incredible. Thank you so much. Continue being amazing. Thank you. I'm going to switch to the smaller brush now. It just has a finer point on it, and to try to get into the middle there and some of those details. We'll see. I come down here. Now I'm gonna put some white, just straight white on the palette, just to kind of catch the extreme highlights of this yellow rose. We'll see what we can find here. Actually, before I do that, let me just push these center ones back a little bit. Just want to push this back a little bit here by adding darker color. Blend it in. Okay, so now I'm going to switch over to the white. Do I paint every day? Yes, I do. I paint every day. I have not taken a day off. I don't really see it as a day off anyway. I paint every day. I wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. No matter when I go to bed, I wake up at 6 and I'm painting by quarter past. Obviously I paint more during the day when I have a show coming up. It's because shows come with deadlines, so it's important. You have to honor your deadlines. Do I paint for a living? Yes. Yeah. I'm represented by 3 different galleries for my paintings, and then I have a gallery that's in New York that sells my photography. And then I make YouTube videos for fun and TikTok videos for fun to try to teach a little bit. But yeah. Oh, thank you. Did I start from a pencil drawing? Yeah. I started with gesso, a black gesso, and then I draw my outline with this colored pencil. It's not exactly white. It's almost white. It's like a 20% gray. I use this. It's a Prismacolor Premier colored pencil, and I like it because it doesn't powder. It's very hard. It doesn't smudge at all. Because if you use a colored pencil that smudges, or if you use charcoal, that powder will get inside your paint and that'll dull your colors. So, do I draw on paper? Yeah, I do draw on paper. This isn't paper. This is wood. This is a wooden panel. But yeah, I do. I certainly do draw on paper. I'm a big fan of drawing on paper. Say most of my art that I've ever done is drawing on paper. Just, historically, that was what I had the most access to. It's also the least expensive way to make art. Just adding some highlights here. This is just titanium white mixed with a little bit of radiant yellow. I go off photos to draw the thing, and then I color it from my head. But I do have the reference material if I need it. But if I just try to copy reference material, then I feel like I'm not really developing very much. You would when you put your reference material to one side and you don't look at it, then what happens is you're forced to think about, hey, wait a second, which way is the light coming? How would that work? How can I bend these forms back into space and so on? And you have to do all this problem solving in real time. But it is important to have that reference material on hand, because then you can, if you get stuck, you can use it. There's nothing wrong with using reference material. Some artists don't want to use reference material or a grid or a projector or anything like that, and I just think those are all tools that are at our disposal. They're there to be used. So yeah, you should definitely try the black gesso and the white pencil. It's much better because when you paint on white gesso, it's hard to judge your values. It's a lot easier to judge values with black gesso. Yeah, for sure. Black Jess was awesome. And just gonna go for this here is another petal that I didn't realize was there until just now, so I'm gonna go for that. So should be able to finish this rose, this live stream. Probably start the vase in the next one. So the next live is going to be Friday evening, and I'm going to be starting that one at the same time, which will be 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's -5 UTC for those of you in Europe. So that'll be Friday evening. We're going to go 6 until 9. So if you are inclined, you are certainly welcome to join. Be doing this vase. It's going to be really nice because it's white with some really nice ultramarine blue decorations. So it's Delft pottery. Do I have a art gallery? Yeah. I have 3 different galleries that represent me from my oil paintings. The Gallery Yoon in Montreal, and 19 Karen in Australia, and a Rouge Gallery in Western Canada. And then I show with Treat Gallery for my photography, and that's in New York. So those 4 galleries are the ones that kind of show my work regularly, and then I have occasional group shows with other galleries like Arcadia Contemporary in Los Angeles was my last group show outside of those 4 galleries. But yeah, if you're interested in my art and you don't necessarily want an original, I do have prints available on my website, so you could check those out if you're interested. And I have over 40 different paintings. That's not dark enough. Make that a little bit darker to separate it from the one on the other side. Yeah, thank you to those of you who are joining this Tuesday evening, or maybe it's Wednesday morning where you are in the world. I don't know. It's Tuesday evening for me here near Toronto, Canada. I do appreciate you stopping by and asking your art-related questions. Does my hand hurt sometimes? Sometimes if I have a really long day, yeah, it does. I try to practice good posture and good technique to minimize long-term repetitive damage. Painter's elbow is a real thing. But yeah, it is important to take care of yourself. Yeah, hello everyone. Welcome. Okay. What's my favorite color in art? I like dioxazine purple for the value range that it offers. Comes out of the tube nearly black. And as you tint it, every one of its tints, all the way down all the different level amounts of white that I can add, just all result in really beautiful purples, almost neon. Yeah, I really like dioxazine purple. Okay. So I think we're getting close here to wrapping it up for the evening. I think next time we'll launch into the vase. Oops. Following the direction of the petals for the brush strokes. Okay, thank you for the likes. 19,000 likes. Thank you so much. I am going to leave it there just because that's a really natural breaking point. I'm going to go with the vase next time. Oh, thank you so much, Huss. I appreciate that. The next live will be this Friday from 6 o'clock until 9 o'clock. That's Eastern time. So that's -5 UTC, or Greenwich Mean Time, as they used to say. I'm going to be working on the vase, and then also the four buds. So yeah, that's going to be it for me. Once again, please do check out my prints in my store. There's a link in my bio, or you could go to markliamsmith.com, pick yourself up a print, and I really appreciate your continued support. For those of you, and I do recognize some names who have already supported me by buying paintings and prints. I really do appreciate all of that support. So that's going to be it. Remember to check out my YouTube if you're interested in learning how to paint, and TikTok for learning how to draw. I thank you very much. Good night, everyone.